For literally thousands of years, a window has been, well, just a hole in the wall. Simple. But what if that hole could actually think? What if one of the oldest, most basic parts of our buildings is about to get a massive 21st century upgrade? We're talking about a revolution you can see right through. So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll dive into why our current windows are kind of a huge problem. Then, we'll introduce the smart tech that's changing the game. After that, we'll explore why it's a triple win for our wallets, the planet, and us. We'll also see how it performs in the real world. And finally, we'll take a peek at what the future holds. All right, let's start with the problem. Because the very windows we love for their views and all that natural light, yeah, they have a really big and often invisible downside that affects pretty much all of us, every single day. I want you to just think about your day so far. Chances are you've spent almost all of it inside. I mean, the average American spends about 90% of their time inside. That's kind of wild, right? And it means the quality of our buildings, especially our windows, has this massive impact on our lives. And here's where it gets really crazy. In the US alone, we lose over $40 billion every single year, all from wasted heating and cooling energy just pouring right through our inefficient windows. They're a huge drain on our energy grid and, yeah, on our bank accounts. And it's not just about the money, right? It's about comfort. We've all been there. You can see it right here. A standard window creates this horrible glare, or it makes the room way too hot. So what do? We pull down the blinds. But that totally defeats the whole purpose of having a window in the first place. It's this constant, annoying compromise. Okay, but this is where the solution comes in. We're going to talk about a whole new category of tech called dynamic windows. And we're going to focus on the one that's really leading the pack, a technology called electrochromic. Seriously, this is poised to completely change how we think about glass. So what does that actually mean? Well, the key thing to get is that dynamic or smart windows aren't static. They can actively change how much light and heat they let through. They can literally adapt to the weather, the time of day, or even just what you feel like all on demand. So how does this magic actually work? Well, this diagram kind of shows the secret sauce. An electrochromic window has all these super thin layers. And when you apply a tiny bit of electricity, it moves these little particles, lithium ions, between the layers, and that causes the glass to tint. You reverse the charge and boom, it's clear again. It's actually that simple in concept. Honestly, the best way to think about it is like this. It's basically a giant pair of sunglasses for your entire building. But instead of fumbling around to put them on, you just flip a switch. Or even better, the building is smart enough to just do it for you. Now let's get into the core benefits, because this is where it gets really good. These electrochromic, or EC windows, aren't just some cool gadget. They are a true triple win, with huge benefits for the economy, for the environment, and for you and me. And don't just take my word for it, the benefits are massive. A 2022 analysis from the US Department of Energy broke it all down into 3 key areas: huge energy savings, a serious cut in carbon emissions, and a major boost to our comfort and well-being. Let's take a closer look at each one. Let's talk numbers for a sec. By 2030, these windows could save a ridiculous amount of energy in both our homes and in commercial buildings. We're talking about a 2.1% drop in total US building energy use. That is enough to power millions of homes every single year. And what does all that energy saving mean for the planet? Well, just in our homes, it would prevent 27 million metric tons of CO2 from hitting the atmosphere annually. That is a really significant step in decarbonizing our entire building sector. Okay, but this is where it gets personal. By controlling that natural light, these windows can actually help regulate our sleep cycles. Studies have shown they boost workplace productivity by cutting glare, which also means less eye strain and fewer headaches. And get this, in hospitals, having access to controlled daylight has even been shown to help patients recover faster. Amazing. Okay, so the promise is huge, right? But what happens when this tech leaves the lab and actually gets installed in real buildings? Let's take a look at the practical side of things, the real-world performance, and, yeah, the challenges that are still out there. As the Department of Energy points out, the building industry is and should be pretty cautious. Before architects and building owners are going to invest in a new technology, they need to see cold, hard, real-world proof that it actually works the way it's supposed to. And here is that proof in action. Check this out. This was a test at a U.S. Customs and Border Protection facility, a place where clear vision is absolutely critical. The difference is just night and day.
On the left, with traditional glass, the glare is in the intolerable red zone. But with the electrochromic window on the right, it plummets down into the comfortable green zone, and you don't lose the view.
So the tech works, but do people actually like it? Well, in a study of a government office building, the results were, well, overwhelming. A whopping 92% of the people in the shared spaces said they preferred the new smart windows over the old conventional ones. They loved the reduced glare and better temperature control.
But let's be real, it's not a perfect story just yet. While the promise is obvious, we have to talk about the hurdles. The biggest one right now is the upfront cost. It's still a lot higher than a normal window. And there are some performance things too, like a pretty slow switching speed. It can take several minutes to fully tint, and getting the color exactly right. These are all challenges the industry is working hard on.
So, with those challenges in mind, what's next? Let's wrap up by looking ahead and seeing where these electrochromic windows fit into the whole smart building movement and what the path looks like to a fully dynamic future. So, electrochromic windows aren't the only game in town. As you can see from this table, other technologies like thermochromic and liquid crystal have their own pros and cons. But what makes electrochromic so compelling right now is that it hits this perfect sweet spot. It gives you control, it saves energy, and the cost is coming down. That makes it the clear frontrunner for really widespread adoption. The path to making these windows a standard feature in every new building is actually pretty clear. The Department of Energy has laid out 3 main goals: bring down those manufacturing costs, push the tech to save even more energy, and just make the benefits so obvious and so compelling that we all start demanding it. And the innovation is not slowing down. I mean, on the horizon, we're looking at things like hybrid windows that combine the best of different techs, windows with transparent solar cells built right in so they can power themselves, AI systems that learn your preferences and check the weather, and even new nanomaterials that could make the switching almost instantaneous. So let's end with this one big question. For centuries, windows have been the weakest link in our buildings, leaking heat, letting in glare. But what if we could flip that script entirely? What if our windows could become so smart, so high-performing, that they actually work better than our walls? That's not science fiction anymore. That's the future they're building, one smart window at a time.